I followed my brother everywhere. I just followed him, and anything that he wanted to play under the, we had houses at those times that were kind of on stilts, and we used to play under the house in the dirt with our cars. But I like to follow him with everything except that he liked to shoot birds. And I would follow after him or sit up in a tree, and when he'd come around with his slingshot shooting at the birds, I'd start hollering and waving my hands to scare the birds away, because I didn't want him to shoot the birds.
I used to have to taste her mud pies, and I made her doll clothes for her. And my mother taught me how to sew on that machine. I made all Catherine's doll clothes.
Louie and I were real close. We were only 18 months apart. And so he watched after me. He did that even when we were teenagers. I couldn't go out on a date when I started dating without my brother. And those friends of his, if I went out, they knew exactly what they could and couldn't do. He was very watchful over me.
Catherine and I were just regular playmates because we didn't have many playmates. During the Depression, it was just me and my sister. And so I was her playmate and her protector, and she'd go get girlfriends for me and bring them home.
What a good sister.
Yeah, she'd go tell them, say, I want you to meet my handsome brother.
When we were little, we climbed trees, we did all that kind of thing, and then I can remember at night, we used to, it wasn't very nice, but we would go out, and people that had their cars, we would, I don't remember what we marked them up with, but we'd run by and
Probably soap.
Soap, I guess. At any rate, we'd mark the cars up and then run away like mad so that we wouldn't get caught. So we weren't real good kids sometimes. I also remember when, and I couldn't have been more than about 6 or 7, that we lived right across the street from a grocery store. So on Saturday night, Mother and Dad went over to the grocery store, and we were told absolutely we were not to leave the house. But of course, we left the house, we crossed the street, and we'd stand looking in the window, and naturally, Dad would end up always seeing us. So we'd come back, and Louie would get a real spanking. When Dad spanked him, he sometimes used a little, a little stick, and he would pop him. Me, I would get one little pop on the bottom with his hand, and it would just break my heart because I love my dad. And I would just sit on the counter crying. Poor Louie would just go off and sit on the side, and Dad would keep telling me he was sorry and all this kind of stuff. I was kind of spoiled.
Mama put that olive oil on her. And oh boy, we were poor. You know, we lived out there in Mexican Town. We had to sleep together in a bed, and that girl stunk. And the only thing that was bad, I think I was wet in the bed at the time. but for a long time, Catherine had a skin condition. In the old days, you just covered them up with olive oil. I think I was wet in the bed for self-protection to kill the olive oil.
She may have been wearing the olive oil in self-protection.
Yeah.
Both Louie and I took up for each other. I can remember when I was little, if my mother had gotten after me and was spanking me, Louie would stand off to the side and say, "Hit her back, Tat, hit her back." That's what he called me. He called me Tat rather than Catherine.